All right. We came to the terminal section now, the fundamentals of Ethernet LANs, right? We learned a lot of little different things, right? A lot of tidbits. We first saw the type of devices and how they go connected. Switch to router, router to router, switch to switch, hub to switch, switch to hub, PC to router, PC to, we saw all the different ones, crossover or straight through cabling. You need to know that. You need to know who creates collision domains and broadcast domains, all right? So you need to be aware of that. So you saw what a typical Soho LAN looks like. You saw the wireless devices, the wireless printer, the wireless tablet, right? It was an actual access point, not a router connected to a switch. And then the switch goes to a router, then it goes from wherever it needs to go. All right, then you saw the other network. But then you saw the enterprise, which actually had, all right, 3 different floors with 3 different switches with a core switch going to a router. All those were VLAN'd out. All those were VLAN'd out. All right. And you'll see that configuration. Once you start learning about VLANs, you'll see those configurations. You'll do it exactly like I do it. All right. So they have to be VLAN'd out so they know which each one is a different VLAN. And for the access point to connect to the proper access point, all right, because they may want to connect to another one, you set SSIDs. And again, we'll get into that much later in the course. But you put SSIDs different for each access point, and then they'll connect to that particular access point because you want to segment those networks. That particular wireless belongs to that one, okay, to that particular department. Then we actually took a look at the actual cabling. We looked at the cabling, the 560A standard, 568 EIA 568A standard, and 568 EIA 568B standard, okay? So you saw the color code. Again, you'll have the information. You'll see it. All right, you don't have to learn it like I learned it. First comes the dirt, then comes the grass, then comes the sky, then the grass is green on the other side, then comes the sun. You need to remember that. That was just something I did for me to learn it. All right, that's brown, brown, white, green, blue, white, blue, green, white, orange, orange, white. That's how I learned it, right? And then the only thing that changes are the orange and green wires to make it an A standard. All right, but same standard on both sides. That's important. Same standard on both sides is a straight through cable. Different standards on both sides is a crossover cable. If you have a B on one side and a B mirrored, that is a correct rolled over cable or rolled over cable. Okay, so we talked about that. Transmitting data or twisted pair cabling. All right, well, when you're transmitting over twisted pair, we talked about it. The twist in the actual cabling is good. The more twist, the better it is, because it's going to prevent that crosstalk, that information, that data jumping from that cable to another cable and its neighboring cables. So it avoids that. Okay. UTP cabling pinouts, we talked about that, 10 base T and 100 base T. Even 1,000 base T, they all use the same pinouts. The difference is 10 base T and 100 base T only use 2 pairs, where 1,000 base T uses all 4 pair of wires to send information and receive information. Okay. Obviously, they're using more electronic advanced info. Now, one funny thing that they talk about in there that says that the electricians are the ones that set up the closets with the cabling. Yeah, no. The rack will be in there, but you will put in your switches. I'm sure they put the power, but you'll be putting in the switches. You'll be putting in the routers. You'll be putting in the patch panels, which it's not mentioned, right? Enterprise networks in your MDF, your main distribution facility, it will be in there, okay? Well, choosing the right cable pinouts, obviously, you need to know which standard you're going to use, A or B, so choose. All right, if it's an existing network, take a look at their jack, go in there, take a screwdriver, take it out, see what they're using, use the same thing. All right, common sense. UTP cabling pinouts for 1,000, I already told you, it's the same, right? I think that's it. Oh no, here we go. Sending data, Ethernet data link protocols, Ethernet addressing. Listen, every node in the world should have the same, a unique MAC address, period. Okay, whether it's called a burned-in address, a LAN address, an Ethernet address, a hardware address, it's a frame, it's a MAC address. All right, the first 3 bits are given by the IEEE. The second 3 bits are vendor identified. All right, error detection, we took a look at that. It's in the trailer. That's your frame check sequence that does some sort of mathematical algorithm. Both sides, sender and receiver, they have to be the same. That way, there is no error. If it's different, then there's an error. All right. Sending Ethernet frames with switches and hubs. Hubs are no longer used. Take that out of your mind. Hubs are no longer used. Why? One collision, one broadcast. They fight for space on there. Everybody wants to transmit at the same time. So I always tell my students, think of a hub as an intersection with no traffic light, no cop, no stop signs, nothing. Everybody going 100 miles an hour, nobody stops. There's got to be a collision sometime, right? Not by chance, there isn't. So that's the problem with hubs. Everything nowadays are switches and are routers. So half duplex, your switches can run half duplex, but why do you want to? We're moving forward in speed. You want to run full duplex, which is the full 100 megabits or full 1000 megabits. You don't want to set it back to half duplex using only 2 pairs of wires. You want to use those 4 pairs or 8 pairs if you're running category 6 cabling. That is how you're going to get gigabit internet. There's no such thing as 5, category 5, biggie, and you run 1000. That doesn't exist. All right. You run 6, category 6 cabling. That's going to give you the 1000 gigabits. And it is a difference between night and day. All right. But that is what we went over, okay, in this particular section. Okay. So go over it. The important parts, okay? Take a look at those labs, see how they are, go inside the routers if you're familiar with it. If not, just wait till we get into the part of the course with the routers and switches. Then you'll learn how to take a look at those particular labs and the connections. Those are the important things. The color codes, the standards. That is what you need to remember. Collision domains, broadcast domains. That is what you need to remember. But throughout the course, believe me, I'll be mentioning this over and over again. All right, with that said, I'll see you in the next.